is the founder of a nonprofit that's called For a Reason. It's FAR is the name of it. She is the one who has made the gateway for us to go into Haiti with this organization. Denise, maybe you can just share briefly what the goal of For a Reason is.
Well, the short story, the short answer to that For a Reason is that we seek to partner or accompany students on their educational journeys in rural Haiti. The longer version of that is that we enter into meaningful relationships with the children, their families, their school communities, and their greater community. And that's what we do. So it starts with financing somebody's education who otherwise would not be able to go to school, and then it develops into those relationships.
Okay, and that's why we built the latrine for St. Andre's School in Haiti, built the cafeteria for that school that's there, and then started the Goat and Garden Project just 2 years ago. How is the Goat and Garden Project going?
It's doing really well. We have 180 families at St. Andre's, and right now there are 40 families that are basically self-sufficient because of the goats that they have received from us, Genesis Community, and now they've raised them, donated their first offspring back, and now they can raise goats each year to pay their own tuition. And so that's kind of a big success for us to move toward greater self-sufficiency.
Okay, what was the purpose of this last trip? Why were you guys out there?
For a Reason, the main reason was to visit with our students. Every time I go, I make sure I'm just continuing those relationships, that it's not just about here's the check for school this year, it's let's talk, it's kind of the bells thing actually. It's an exchange. I learn as much from the families as I hope they learn from me. They learn a little bit more about Americans, about Christians in America, and hopefully Jesus. I like to think so. And then the other reason we went is we have partnered with the University of Redlands for teacher education. Most of the teachers at the schools our students attend have maybe a year or two more education than their students. So if you're teaching 4th grade, it's because you finished 6th grade. And so the university has developed a curriculum that allows the teachers to grow in their understanding of child development, some of the basics that we kind of take for granted here.
Okay, so people like Michael and others went there to help the teachers in their learning and education. Michael, how was your first trip to Haiti? What are some things that impressed you this trip?
It was wonderful and surprising in ways that I couldn't have possibly imagined before I left. And there were, times where, I don't know, I was thinking about this this morning, because I imagined this was probably one of the questions that you would ask, right? I was thinking, there were things that should have been very difficult and jarring, right? Because, and I'm sure you went through all these things when you first got there, and I've talked to you about some of these things, but just making your way through the airport, is chaotic and difficult, and getting on the roads it's anarchy, and it's just people driving against traffic, and
it's so much
like
fun.
up on sidewalks, but it's not fun. You're wrong. That a lot of the roads aren't paved, so it's difficult, and all I kept thinking about when we got on those roads the first day was how wonderful it was, and this strange sense of peace and happiness and joy. And we went from the airport to meet one of the first families that FAR partners with, and to see what's happening in her life, the life of her family, and then you take that out into everything that's happening throughout the country, through this organization, others like it. But it was incredible. it's amazing to see, what God can do in and through lives when we just make ourselves available, to be part of what can happen there and partner with people. So it was astounding.
So in this trip, Denise, what was one of the highlights for you in this last trip?
There's a little girl that we started partnering with a couple of years ago, and she lost her parents, both parents, the first year we partnered with her. And then this last year, she's living with a family that she's not related to them at all. It's a family of 6. And I think actually getting to see, they lost their home in a fire 3 months ago. So they have moved into an abandoned building, and we made the journey to get there, which was no small venture to get to where they are living, and to be able to just dialogue with them. I mean, that sounds really impersonal, but to talk with the family and to look at what the needs are, and then to listen, making ourselves vulnerable, listening to the people that we work with in Haiti to find out what is best for that family, because what I think is best is rarely what is best. I want to fix the house right now. It's not the best thing for the family, but to sit down and talk with the family and come up with some solutions together, and just feel like we were part of a greater community. I think that was the most meaningful part of this particular trip. It's always for me about the relationships, and our money opens the doors for those relationships, but in the end, it's talking, it's sharing.
I know the first time I went, I was, gonna throw some money and fix this, right? What do you need from us, And he says, I need you to come. Like, no, but really, what do you need? He goes, I need you to come. And I went, and it was just that. Developed the relationships that was able to allow the input to see what really is necessary. Because it changes, right? Things are so, there's just so much unorganization and so much chaos that what seems good today might change in a week's time. And so you have to be in an interaction so that you can trust someone and move into that.
I have to interrupt because I do, but when you were talking about the relationships and how important they are, when everybody else in the country, and I do mean just about every other foreigner in the country, was struggling to get out of the country because of the relationships over the last 8 years, we were never threatened. Our lives were never at risk. They could have been. But because of the relationships, we were able to just traverse some really difficult situations safely, because we put our lives in the hands of those people that we established relationships with. So it was a very practical application.
Michael, what was one of the highlights for you?
We had dinner the other night, and Denise and I kind of both agreed on one of the most impactful moments for us. And she said that she would let me talk about it because it sounds kind of dumb. So, so let me talk about that one, I guess. But you were able to bring whirly gigs, right, to Haiti. There are like 500 of them, 500 whirly gigs. And a whirly gig, if you don't know, it's a stick and it has a propeller. You attach the two, and then you spin it, and it just launches straight up in the air. And they're wonderful, right? They're great. They're super fun. I'm probably far too old to be so entertained by them, but I am, right? And it's something that you said when you went out there, and just said you just got to come. That was kind of, what I heard when I had talked to Denise and Sam, and I don't like that. My brain doesn't work that way. Just you just come and you'll find out where you fit. We were going to be doing the teacher training, and I'm a teacher, so I thought I could probably help out with that. But we were also going with professors who were just like brilliant. And I was thinking, well, I'm sure I can contribute in some way, but there's got to be something else. And then during the teacher training, when I probably should have been setting up or more involved with what was happening, with those Haitian teachers, there were a group of kids outside, and we started handing them whirligigs. And I started attaching them, spitting them with them, and you can see their faces light up, and they're just thrilled to have this bizarre toy. And there was just one of those moments where, you have those moments where all of a sudden everything slows down, and you just feel like God is saying, that's it, and you just know why you are where you are and why you're doing what you're doing. It's weird that it's whirligigs that brought that to the surface, but there was this moment where I saw these kids spinning these things. If you spin them the wrong way, they just fly back at you and hit you. And if you spin them, with your right hand shooting out, then it launches up in the air. And if you tilt your hands, then it flies forward. And there was this kind of innate ability to explore the science of these things with these kids. And it got me thinking, what could happen if we expanded on that, the possibilities of exploring, science and, technology and engineering and mathematics, this like STEM, thing that we take for granted in America, with these children that, aren't exposed to it. They've grown up knowing, about farming, and they know about, selling in the market, and they know hard manual labor every day. And we're a product of our upbringing in so many ways, and they're raised in a poverty trap, so many of them, and it's easy to see that perpetuated. Something like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, this whole like STEM catalog could just be a monumental way to break this poverty trap for these children, to expose them to, their own agency, to take control of their lives, vocationally, and actualize their potential. It was a wonderful moment where, just playing with these kids, God was like, that's it. That's what I want you to be a part of here. And so that was probably the moment for me.
I know when we had dinner Thursday, we're talking about maybe doing something like that in the future for the next trip, having something like that where we can introduce solar technology, wind technology, things that they could actually put into practice right away where they're at. So that I know you got excited when you started talking to me about that, so I knew that was an exciting thing for you. So great. Now, I know that the news, there was a rioting in Haiti, and there was all this, stuff, and of course, the news shows the same picture over and over again, and they make it seem like it's everywhere. How bad was it? You already shared, you didn't feel threatened at all. I know roads and the roadblocks made things inconvenient, but what was your overall impression with how bad things were, with people who might be here thinking, I don't know, should we go to Haiti in the future if things like that can happen? What is your feeling on something like that? Are you going back to Haiti even while that's happening?
Of course. Of course.
Well, I would definitely love to go back next summer, and hope to, raise the finances and get everything together so that we can do a project like that STEM camp there for the students and the teachers. But I was talking to Denise about this when we were out there, and that's worrisome, of course. People are rioting, and there was some looting, and they were setting up barricades and all this. Denise has been there, you said 23 times, right? Was this your 24th trip?
This is my 23rd.
Okay, this was your 23rd trip. And you never experienced anything like this before, not even close to it. So this was, it was an abnormal experience. And it was only 2 days. I never felt threatened either. There were plenty of barricades that we had to make our way across, and people would set up, rocks in the street, or trees, or, cars, things like that. But it wasn't, I guess Denise has the right words for it. I never felt threatened by any of it. They wanted to keep cars off the road, so that's what they did. Because of course it was a gas tax that started it, and so if you're on the road, then you need gas, and then buying that gas would support this gas tax. So, it made some degree of sense to set those barricades.
Yeah.
Most of the people were somewhat pleasant at the barricades. We had a Haitian driver, his name's Ernst. He's one of the best people in Haiti, certainly. But
You guys may have heard, he was here before, yeah.
Just a sensational human being. He would jump out of the car when we came to the barricades, they were manned, and shake hands with people, and all of a sudden they're talking about soccer and cousins and their best friends and each other's phone numbers and everything else. I don't know. It's very strange, but he's just that kind of person. So it wasn't threatening for us, I'd say, and definitely plan on going back. It's not something that needs to worry.
You just have to be smart. Every time we've gone, there's the U.S. Embassy issues State Department warnings. And I don't think I've ever gone that the State Department has said, yeah, come on, it's great. It's never that. You just have to be smart. We wouldn't drive down the middle of a demonstration in our own neighborhoods, so why would you do the same thing in another country? You just have to be smart. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
And have some cash.
And again, those relationships, again, were so important, right? When you're going, even as you said, and it kind of has been the model, we're not going to go there and try and fix things. We're going to go there to help them try and fix things, because they know their country, they know the needs, they know what's really important, instead of us taking our models and just making them fit into that. And that's important because we're trying to develop things for long term. I know one of the things that we've talked about is self-sufficiency, right? We don't want to create a dependency. We don't want to go there and make these people dependent on us for the rest of their lives. We want to go and help them up so that they're not dependent. And I know that with the Goat and Garden project, there's been some changes that looks like it's going to be taking place in the future so that there can be more dependency. And as we've shared before, we need to change with what circumstances are there. If we don't trust someone with the money, then we're not going to give them the money. And so if the person we trusted is no longer there, it might change how we move forward, just because we want to be wise with the money and with the circumstances. With the Goat and Garden project, what are some of the changes taking place, and how do you see the best way to move forward?
I think that the garden project, as lovely as it is, and it's beautiful, and it's a really good thing, but it costs a lot of money. And the return on that investment is not necessarily worth the investment right now. Whereas the goats, basically for every 2 goats we purchase, a family becomes independent of our assistance. And so I'd like to see us expand the goat portion of that, and then we're looking at a way to do that in working with an organization that does not require us to work with a couple of people that maybe we're not so sure about right now. So we've worked nicely with another person. He's not there anymore. And so we're just looking how to do that wisely and to keep it moving forward. Because our goal is to be able to step away from St. Andre's altogether and let them, go off on their own. And I'd say we're about a third of the way there.
And then we can try and take what we learned and model it somewhere else.
Exactly.
Those things.
I get lots of emails from other schools now asking, could we come and do that after school? Well, we can't, we're not big enough yet, but it's a really good model because it's a commodity they understand, number One, it's the goats buying and selling. And number two, it just maintains the dignity of the families. It's no longer a dad having to come to me, a white female, saying, would you pay my daughter's tuition? It's him now providing his daughter's tuition, as it should be.
Very powerful, right? Very powerful. I know that one of the things that was mentioned was chickens, because they can lay eggs, but the cost of building the coop, caring for the chickens, having someone there to care for the chickens, all those things are being measured, and it seems like the goat's the better way to go. So we will be talking to you more about the goats later on. Just this is a heads up for you guys. Every year we do our Advent conspiracy, and that'll definitely probably be part of what we want to do to further this goats. I mean, great buying a goat. Was it $50 a goat or $100 buys a goat?
It's $100.
$100 buys a goat. Buy a goat for a family, right? And so these are some things that we can keep in mind, see what we can do and develop so that we can help this. They're a third of the way there, and again, a small community like us has done a lot. You guys have been so generous. I can't thank you enough. And I just want you to know what's happening with your care, concern, and support. These things have taken place because of you guys, and this is kind of where we're going as well in the future to further the GOAT project, and then to develop maybe the STEM camp for the kids so that they can learn, or the teachers so that they can start developing some of these things in their homes where they could actually, imagine going home and then when it gets dark, that's it, right? There's no lights, there's no electricity at the home, and what do you do if you want to read? You can't. There's no Wi-Fi at the home, right? All the things that we just assume or take for granted, they don't have there. What if we could provide a way of maybe providing some solar energy where they could actually provide light, even if it's through a small lantern or something through the night? I'll never forget one of the trips to Haiti where I went and I was walking from one house to the next where something was taking place, and it was probably 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. It was dark outside, and as I was walking, there was a young girl underneath a lamp, a street lamp, with her school books at 9, 10 o'clock at night, studying by herself. I wanted to take that picture and show it to my kids, my grandkids, and every student here in America who complains, I don't want to. It's like, this was her opportunity to learn, and she had to go outside of her home to a street lamp so that she could read her books, right? And so, what if we could provide a way for them to further their learning abilities there at the home? So, some great things. Any other things that you guys would like to share? Things that you would like to tell us?
I too want to thank the Genesis community. I'll try and do it without getting all mushy about it, but when I go to St. Andres, and we are a small community, and most partner schools are big schools with lots of money and lots of tuition money here in the United States. And our little community has completely transformed St. Andres. They have a latrine that is not just a horrible, awful smelling place, but one that really recycles the waste in such a way that it is not polluting the groundwater. And you all built that. Genesis built that. They have a cafeteria where the students can eat with dignity their meals, and they only eat 3 times a week. You did that too. And we have a Goat and Garden project now in its 2nd year that is thriving. And with the help of St. Mark's Episcopal School, you all have done that too. And it is just pretty incredible what our community has done. It's amazing, really. It's transformative. So thank you for that.
Michael, anything else?
I do really do want to thank Genesis for a reason for inviting me to come and financially supporting the travels and everything else while I was out there. It was one of those situations where I was just kind of getting coffee, after church, and Denise asked me if I want to come, and I kind of just flippantly said yes, spirits, but a month later, I was there. I was like, wow, I was just getting coffee, and I said yes. Here I am, covered in DEET, but it was a really amazing experience, and I'm so grateful, for all the support that allows it to happen. Thank you.
Well, thank you both for sharing with us.